Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting the same kinds of relationships, or why love sometimes feels overwhelming, scary, or even unsafe? You might not be broken. No, you're not broken. You might just be operating from an attachment style that formed long before you could choose it. Hi, I'm Laura Bonk, therapist and founder of Pathways Counseling KC. In this episode, we're diving into the four main attachment styles, what they are, how they show up in your life, and why knowing yours is a powerful step towards healing. Let's start with the basics. Attachment styles are patterns we develop in childhood based on how safe and connected we felt with our primary caregivers. This is all based on the work of John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, who co-created attachment theory. These patterns shape how we see ourselves, how we trust others or don't trust others, and how we relate in friendships, romantic relationships, and even work settings. There are four main attachment styles: secure, anxious preoccupied, dismissive avoidant, and fearful avoidant, which is also sometimes called disorganized or anxious avoidant attachment style as well. Those are the names, three different names that are commonly used for fearful avoidant, but you will hear me on this channel use fearful avoidant. So let's take a look at each one. First, secure attachment. If you have a secure attachment style, you're generally able to trust others, set healthy boundaries, and form stable, emotionally connected relationships. You're generally comfortable with intimacy overall, but you're also okay with being on your own. This style usually comes from caregivers who are consistently attuned, nurturing, and emotionally available. Some other characteristics of the secure attachment style is that they don't tend to take things as personally as someone with an insecure attachment style does. So, for example, if someone doesn't return a text as quickly as normal, someone with a secure attachment style generally will not make it mean, oh my gosh, they're mad at me, they're not answering me, something's wrong. They will most likely see a situation like that or come up into a situation like that and see it as, okay, this person's busy and they'll get back to me when they're not busy, or maybe they just accidentally forgot to respond and I'll reach out again later and go from there. There's not as much reading into things and definitely a huge lack of taking things personally. The next attachment style we'll review here is the anxious preoccupied attachment style, which I'll just say anxious for short. This often comes from inconsistent caregiving. Sometimes your emotional needs were met and sometimes they weren't. If you have an anxious attachment style, you may crave closeness, but also fear being abandoned. You might also find yourself overanalyzing texts, needing constant reassurance, or feeling unworthy unless you're needed by someone else. There's, again, in the videos to come, we'll go deeper into what each attachment style looks like on a far deeper level. This is just a high level overview of them. But when we talk about an anxious preoccupied attachment style and how it develops, it usually does come from an inconsistent place where sometimes needs were met and sometimes not. But this doesn't necessarily mean that your parents were neglectful. It just means that, maybe they were busy. Maybe they were busy working. And maybe you had a lot of siblings, and that can be really, really taxing on a parent to be able to consistently meet every single sibling's needs consistently. Like there's a lot of different scenarios that can paint the picture of where an anxious attachment style might develop, but it doesn't mean that your parents were neglectful necessarily. I just want to clarify that as we go forward through these. As we're talking about how these attachment styles develop, it's really important not to focus too much on blaming our parents, because that's our parents, for the most part, generally do the best that they can with what they have available to them at the time. So I just wanted to clarify and take it from that perspective here. Okay, the next attachment style here, dismissive avoidant. You'll also hear me just say avoidant attachment. This style forms when caregivers were emotionally distant, overly critical, or expected you to be independent too early. If you're avoidant, you might feel uncomfortable with emotional closeness or feel like needing others is weakness. You might value independence. Actually, if you're avoidant, you definitely do value independence as a big hallmark of this attachment style. But to the point that intimacy feels suffocating, so like feeling trapped by it, or even sometimes threatening. The last attachment style here, again, it's the fearful avoidant attachment style, again, often called disorganized, ambivalent, anxious avoidant. Just to keep it all simple, I will refer to it as fearful avoidant on this channel. This attachment style usually develops in environments where caregivers were frightening in some form, like unpredictable, and unfortunately, oftentimes abusive, whether that's physically, psychologically, or emotionally. Um, the fearful avoidant attachment style is really the attachment style that has both parts. It carries both the anxious pieces as well as the avoidant pieces. Thus, fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant, disorganized. That's why it has so many names. It unfortunately is usually the attachment style that indicates that the person who does have a fearful avoidant attachment style has been through more chronic trauma than some of the other attachment styles. And that's not to dismiss the amount of trauma that others have been through. It's just fairly consistently a fearful avoidant attachment style has been through a fair amount of trauma, and they've oriented themselves in this sort of space of chaos, whether that is physical fighting or emotional, psychological abuse. Really, it's the result of having no safe strategy when the person you turn to for comfort was also a source of fear. If you have the fearful avoidant attachment style, you might feel deeply torn between wanting connection, but deeply fearing it at the same time. So relationships might feel chaotic or confusing, and your inner world might be full of self-blame, fear, emotional shutdown, lots of shame for sure. But also, now that we've kind of gone through all of those, and I know that going through them can kind of sound like a downer. It's not. It doesn't have to be. Yes, all of those experiences that created these attachment styles are painful, and there's space to grow. So really, here's the important thing to know. Your attachment style is not a diagnosis. It's not who you are. It's who you learn to be under the situations that you grew up in. These patterns are adaptive survival responses, not personality flaws. And the even better news, they can change through healing, self-awareness, and developing safe relationships. You can move toward a secure attachment style where trust, safety, and connection feel possible again. Not just possible, but natural. You can truly get to a place where you've healed and done all of the work of understanding your attachment style, where it came from, how it's impacting you now, and doing the work of moving forward to kind of like pluck out those behaviors and emotions and beliefs and thoughts that protected you in the past when you needed them as a child. but are no longer serving you. And in fact, oftentimes cause damage long term. So again, all of that to say, you can heal. It doesn't have to stay this way. You can become secure. It's just a matter of learning, getting the tools and support needed, and doing the work. So in upcoming videos, we'll talk more about how to recognize your attachment patterns in daily life, how they continue to impact you, and how to begin healing them from the inside out, not the outside in. If one of these attachment styles resonated with you, which we all of us have an attachment style, so I'm guessing one of these resonated with you. Um, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, just a reminder, I do have a free attachment style quiz linked in the description below. It's connected to the Pathways Counseling KC website. You can take that quiz there and get those results for free. Again, it's just nice to have that foundation going forward of knowing what attachment style you most relate to, what you likely have, some of the patterns that it brings along with it, and where they came from. Just knowing all of this then gives you a path forward and what to heal. When we're trying to heal, we have to know what it is, like what's causing the pain. And this is that process of figuring out at the root what's causing that pain and healing it there, rather than just putting Band-Aids on painful situations. Feel free to let me know in the comments which one you resonated with. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoy the content. Don't like it just because. And then stay tuned for videos to continue coming out within this series. Also remember, you deserve a secure, healthy, connected relationship, a life, not just intimate relationships with others, but most importantly, the relationship that you have with yourself. That is the most important relationship. And that is possible, and we can do that here on this channel. So again, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next episode.